It's been a little over a week since Bungie's second attempt at showcasing the final shape, and after having some time to form my thoughts about the whole reveal, I think it's finally time to talk about it. After the underwhelming first showcase back in August, I had no clue what Bungie could possibly do to get people interested again. The final shape didn't necessarily look bad, it just looked fine. There just wasn't a lot to get excited about at the time. I mean, the final shape's main selling point was basically just that it's more Destiny 2. And at that time, the last possible thing people wanted was more Destiny 2. There wasn't even any shiny new keys to jingle in our face either. Kinda just felt like Bungie was ready to move on. Enter the Traveler, Fight the Witness, 10-year story done, please buy Marathon, please. But see, the problem with that is that you can't really slide by with the bare minimum when revenue is down by a nice 45%, and now Sony's breathing down your neck, wanting to get some kind of return on their, $3.6 billion purchase. Typically, that's kind of an important thing for companies. So naturally, a delay seemed inevitable. But hey, June 4th seemed like a great time to release the DLC. It's the beginning of summer, and no other things are coming out. Oh, never mind. But Bungie's best content does usually come when their back is against the wall and they're under pressure. So there was at least mild curiosity on whatever they could come up with. The most I would have expected from a delay like this is a new subclass. Just throw in the long theorized red subclass and boom, please pre-order. The last thing I expected from a delay like this was, literally, all of this. Bungie somehow actually did it and got most of the community interested in the game again. Pretty much every second of this showcase, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This is the exact kind of reaction that Bungie needed. Now, I will say, I don't think that they came up with all of this just on a whim and were able to make it in time, just because there's literally no way that that could happen. But I wonder if this was content originally planned, but then was almost cut due to time constraints. Because you know that on the original reveal, they would have been showing off Prismatic like crazy. But regardless of development timelines, this stuff is happening. And Bungie has finally managed to shift the conversation around the final shape from pure unfiltered apathy to actual excitement, with everyone being surprised. It's definitely not often that you feel surprised after a Destiny reveal, but when you do, it's something real big. Which perfectly segues us into the biggest new selling point of the final shape, Prismatic, the Create a Class subclass. As I said earlier, I did expect there to be a new Darkness subclass, but this? I never would have expected this. I don't think anyone would have expected this. Prismatic feels like we're actually breaking the rules of the game. Like, we shouldn't be allowed to do any of this, but we can. Granted, it is more limited than we initially thought, but for now that's more than okay, because there's still plenty of new build variety here. I've already seen some people say that Prismatic seems like it won't be very good, but we haven't even had a chance to use it yet. Let's just chill out for now. Plus, if it's underwhelming, I'm sure Bungie will give us access to more abilities over time. I also think that Bungie doesn't want Prismatic to completely render the old subclasses obsolete. If you want to go full in on an element and get full synergy between your subclass and weapons, then the old classes will still be there. But Prismatic is meant to give an entirely different experience. It's meant to feel like you're bending the rules of the game, which is a power fantasy I did not think Bungie would ever let us have, but I'm all for it. I like the idea of loosening up the class systems and having more freedom for how you want to play the game. Sure, it's probably an absolute nightmare to balance, but it's great for gameplay variety. Plus, it's of course thematic for the DLC. A new Darkness subclass would have been interesting, but us wielding both the light and the dark is perfect. From a certain point of view, we are the final shape. And from a lore perspective, it's gonna be interesting, because in the showcase they directly say that we get it from the Traveler, and in the gameplay trailer we can hear this voice.
Take this power, Guardian. Be brave in dark places, for we are the light of hope.
Is that the voice of the Traveler? Wait.
They called it the Gardener.
Wait a minute. Oh my god. Oh my god! But hey, apparently we get Prismatic pretty early on in the campaign, so we won't be wondering for very long. Oh hey, my peanut brain forgot to mention the other part of Prismatic, Transcendence. Fill up the bar with both light and dark weapons and get a damage bonus, alongside ability regeneration buffs and a grenade buff. Definitely not as exciting, but still important. I mean, Hunters get to fire an ice tornado grenade, so that's pretty cool. Alongside Prismatic, we also have the new exotic class items. Prismatic is already insane enough to me, but I truly had no clue what to think when seeing these things. Of all the rules in Destiny, having one exotic weapon and one exotic armor piece just always seemed like the one that would remain strong, never to be broken. And now that rule has been broke. Kind of. It's sort of like having 1.5 exotics on. I'm pretty sure you won't quite be getting the full power of 2 exotics, but it's close enough. All of the perks are completely random too, so people are going to be farming these things for months, vaults will be full, and Datto will be very, very upset. I can already see myself absolutely hoarding these things. Look, I've still got 97 sunset items in my vault. I'm going to be hoarding these things. I mean, we don't even know how many perks can roll on these things, so who knows how long it'll take you to get the exact one that you want. The possible combinations here though are just absolutely insane. One that's been on my mind is pairing the perk from Necrotic Grips with any of the Hunter melees, or hey, any class Harbinger Falcons now. I do think this is where things get truly broken, and I think it goes without saying, but PvP is cooked. It just is. I am so sorry for the PvP strike team. Now, all of this is already exciting enough, but what really did it for me was the announcement that we are actually getting a new enemy faction, the Dread. After all this time, it happened. I do feel like we should have had this faction in Lightfall. I mean, we had the Tormentors, but the final shape not having one just felt especially wrong. I mean, this is the end of the first saga of Destiny. Does the main villain seriously not have some kind of army to fight us with? But Bungie actually did it, and now we have a new faction to fight. I definitely would have been interested in a new enemy race to fight, just from a lore perspective, you know, having more in the universe of Destiny, but these guys are still awesome, so it's kind of hard to complain. We've got the Tormentors from Lightfall, the Subjugators that we initially saw, and new enemies in the form of the Husks, the Weavers, the Attendants, and the Grimm, which are bats with guns. Yes, I'm all for this. There's less units than the typical Destiny faction, but these guys are unique enough gameplay-wise, I don't really mind. Aesthetically too, I think Bungie absolutely nailed it. The Dread seem like the results of some twisted experiments by the Witness. Each member is a mix of organic body parts and pyramid technology. The Weavers and Attendants we know for sure are Scions, but all the other members look like they were formed from the Witness's horrifying, minds? Subjugators are of course created in Rolk's image. The Husks sort of look like Hive. I'm guessing the Tormentors came from whatever Nezarec species is, but the Grimm? I have absolutely no clue. Again, I would have loved a new alien species, but I do love this approach. Every time we had kind of heard hints about what Darkness enemies could be, I was always kind of worried that they would just be more Taken or Hive-like enemies, but the Dread actually feel different. It's funny that we got this announcement a week after a previous Destiny concept artist posted this image of what a pyramid faction could have been. I mean, yeah, a giant Cthulhu monster would have been pretty cool, and these guys are interesting. But the Dread just fit the world of Destiny better to me. Now look, that doesn't mean I don't want giant Cthulhu monsters, Bungie. Please add these things. It's just nice that we finally have some kind of faction to associate with the pyramids that isn't the Precursors or the Witness. I could absolutely see these things assaulting the city during the collapse. Could you imagine being a random ass citizen and seeing this thing on the street? My only worry with the Dread is that the Grimm's scream could possibly be annoying. And of course, with the Attendants and Weavers, simply fighting against Stasis and Strand is always going to be kind of annoying. But we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. Everything announced in this showcase is incredibly exciting, but of course it still remains to be seen if the final shape itself will actually be good. I have high hopes for this DLC, but after Lightfall and all the other problems that have been plaguing this franchise, I just can't be sure of anything. The final shape could be the best DLC we've ever seen, but the way the story of the pyramids and the Traveler have been handled up until this point will always unfortunately linger. I just hope that in the end, they can pull it all together. This is the most important DLC in Destiny history. This is it. Everything we've done in this game over the past almost 10 years has led us to this very moment. It almost seems like an impossible task, but as I said, when Bungie's backs are against the wall, usually we get some of their best content. So we'll just have to wait and see. I do also think that the final shape is looking to be the final major DLC for Destiny 2. We know it's not the end of Destiny 2, or Destiny at all, but for now I think Bungie might pull back just a bit. Probably for Destiny 3. We've all seen the leaks by now, and to me, that seems like the next logical jump. Plus, Luke Smith's comments on the future of Destiny just kinda seem to allude to this. Plus, Sony probably wants a Destiny 3. There's no way they paid $3.6 billion to just keep supporting Destiny 2. Destiny 3 at this point just feels inevitable. But right now, Destiny 2 is what matters, and hopefully Bungie can pull this off because the time is now.